to bless a few people. And as I see the blessing of God on the ministry, I get encouragement. I know my frailties, I know my limitations, I know my delinquencies. That makes me depend on God more. Let's turn to 1 Timothy 6:10. 1 Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is a root of all sorts of evils, and some, by aspiring to it, have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. I will be asking you questions, and I will be encouraged if you involve. But make sure you're with me and I'm making sense. Okay, what is the root of all evil? Anybody else? Another version? What is the root of all evil? Good. Some say the root of all evil is money. It's not money. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. Now, my second question is, is money good or evil? I want you to wait. Say it again.
It's good.
It's good. Then love it. Yeah, we're supposed to love that which is good. Come on. I want you to think.
Depends on how you like it.
Okay. I'm talking about, is there any inherent evil and good in money? Is money good or evil? Okay. I'm talking about money as such. Money per se. Have you seen my PPT before? There are 3 words in English. Moral, antonym immoral, and the third word, amoral. Amoral means something is neither moral nor immoral. The principle here is you cannot attribute morality to inanimate things. Lifeless things, no morality to it. Okay? Is fire good or evil? Is electricity good or evil? Both?
Immoral.
It's immoral. Is knife good or evil? People can be stabbed by a knife. If you say money is evil, you should get rid of it. Because what does a believer have to do with anything evil? If you say money is good, you should love it. You should desire it. Money is neutral. Money is something that we've made for the sake of easy transaction. There used to be barter system, exchanging different commodities. To make things easy, we've created paper, cash, plastic cash, digital, metal. By itself, money can't be evil or good. As you rightly said, it is in the user. Okay? Sin is not out there, it's here. It's not just in deeds, it's also in attitudes, perspectives, desires, fantasies, thinking. It's here. So it is not money that is the root of all evil. It is the love of money that is the root of all evils. How many of you can claim that you are free from love of money? Anybody who's overcome love of money? I want you to answer me. Anybody who can claim? You may be not sure, okay? But it's always good to get yourself checked. We came here, in fact, to see off our daughter who was on her way to her college. But because of the intimacy we have with Vijay, and also because of the fact that I was helped financially and also advice-wise when I was down with COVID last year, we came for complete health checkup, okay? And suddenly it was found out that for the first time that I had, that I have umbilical hernia. It's always good to get ourselves checked now and then, especially as we age, okay? So can we do some tests to see if we have love of money or not? Not ready? I have a cousin of mine who's a practicing psychiatrist at Tanuku. He says he doesn't want to get himself checked for HIV because if he's found out that he has it, he can't handle it. So he thinks it's better not for him to get checked. What do you think is wise? To examine and face up reality, or to live in an illusion? Can we do some tests? I thought you would say yes. The first test is, if you have a brand new 2,000 rupee note and also a little old one at a shop, which one would you give away first? What does your laughter suggest or reveal? The old one. And then the next shop, you have to give the new one too. But which one would you give first? Why? Does it differ in value with the new one? I'm talking about 2,000 rupee note. 2,000 rupee notes are fresh almost. Okay? So what did you say? I just said a little old one. Friends, what? Feel good. Just for a moment until you go to the next shop. Friends, without our own awareness, we are attached to money. And I think you're going to collect 20 rupee coins too very soon. Have you seen 20 rupee coins? Have you tried to keep them? Some do. No? Okay, good. Good for you. This is only one test. Okay? Another test. How would you react when you lose a purse with cash and cards in it? How would you react? If a thief breaks in and steals valuable things in your house, if your costly car gets a big dent, how would you react? Someone said, the way you react to loss will sometimes reveal if you are saved or not. Because if you question God's sovereignty, if you question the advantage of being godly and obedient to the Lord, you better test your experience of salvation. Jesus said, all the hairs on your head are numbered. Not even one of them falls except by the permission of the Father in heaven. How many hairs are there on an average head? I'm not talking about a few heads here, by the way. On an average head, how many hairs are there? Any idea? Around 140,000. Even if some fall, we don't die. But even for one of them to drop, it requires express permission of God the Father. 2 sparrows are sold for a penny. A penny was the least valuable coin of that time. Today, we can say a rupee coin. 2 sparrows for 1 rupee. So tiny, not enough for a breakfast. But in God's database, all the number of all the birds, all the animals, all the hairs of every human being, all the cells of each body are there. God knows and God keeps. Anything that has to change or drop, he needs to give permission. So now tell me, as believers who are blood bought, can something happen without God's will and knowledge? Can I lose a purse without God's knowledge and permission? No way. So how do I respond or react to loss? That reveals whether we trust in riches or in God. We should be able to thank God no matter what. 1 Thessalonians 5:18, give thanks in all circumstances, and this is the will of God for us. In all things, include all things, loss and gain. No matter what, God is still on the throne. He's still in charge. He permits and things happen. So how do we react to loss? Is revelatory. There are a lot of tests that could be done, but let's see just one more. How is your giving? How is your giving? The disease of love of money may not be found out in the first 2 tests. The third is very critical. How is our giving? John MacArthur has written a book entitled, the title is interesting, Whose Money Is It Anyway? Who's it? We come empty-handed and we go away from this world again empty-handed. All that we enjoy here is from the Lord. By the way, James 1:17, every pure blessing and every pure gift is from above, from the Father. So blessings are vertical, not horizontal. Never. Even if it comes from horizontally, it is God who makes sure you get it. Every pure blessing is from above. So giving to God who is the author of all blessing, shouldn't be hard for us. There was a survey called the Lawson Survey of 1978, perhaps done by Lawson in 1978. No offense intended. Okay? This is a survey result. I use this slide everywhere I talk about this. Okay? The survey was on the stingiest. You know who stood first? Wait for your turn. You know who the second stingiest were? I'm a pastor. Normally, we are used to taking, not giving. But you know what? You don't have the moral right to teach what you don't practice. We don't give for many reasons, but one of them could be this. You can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. Perhaps we don't give to God because we don't love him enough. Friends, the way in which we earn money, the way we spend it, the way we invest it, reveals our spiritual life. Out of 37 or so of parables of Jesus, more than 3/4 talk about money. Martin Luther said, there are 3 conversions necessary. The conversion of the mind, the conversion of the heart, the conversion of the purse. So conversion is not complete if it doesn't involve conversion of financial matters. We take money and things about money lightly. We think business is different from faith. We compartmentalize our lives. Money is a good revealer. A young man was getting baptized. And you know what you do when you have to dip yourself in water in terms of your purse, your watch, your belt, leather belt? What do? You hand them over to a friend who stands on the, stands outside the tank. Okay, a young man was getting baptized, and he takes his purse and gives it to his friend to keep it without getting it drenched. The pastor says, "No, keep your purse with yourself. It also needs to be baptized." It may be funny, but there's a lot to learn. Now let's see some biblical principles to triumph over love of money. We all struggle. Honestly, we do. The Bible says, love of money is the root of all evil, and some, by aspiring to it, have wandered away from the faith. So what's the cost of love of money? Faith. In computer language, faith and love of money are incompatible. They don't live together. They can't live together. They are mutually exclusive. If you have faith in your heart, genuine, living faith, it drives out love of money. But if love of money dominates your thinking, your planning, your investing, your business, it drives out faith. Some who aspired to it have wandered from faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. How can we overcome this? I've learned a few biblical principles which are very practical, which have helped me, which have been helping me. I mean, this is a lifelong battle. There's no permanent victory that any believer can have in terms of money or in terms of pride. I mean, sanctification is progressive. Paul, as an apostle in Romans 7, bemoans or deplores his inclination to sin as an apostle. So we all struggle. Romans 8:23, we groan for the redemption of our bodies. Until we live in this mortal body, we battle with sin. We need to be sanctified every day, every moment. That's why we need the teaching. That's why we need the fellowship. That's why we need the Bible. Let's see how we can triumph over love of money. First Timothy 6:17. Command those who are rich in the present age not to be haughty or to set their hope on the uncertainty of riches, but on God who richly supplies us with all things to enjoy. There are two things before us: the given money, the giver of money. Where is our trust? Where is our love? I mean, we blame the non-Christian world that they worship the creation instead of the creator. What do we do when we give more emphasis to our work on Sunday morning instead of the church and fellowship? You do your business, or what are we doing? We are worshiping the creation. We are worshiping the given blessing instead of the giver of all blessings. Friends, the giver is always far greater than that which he gives. Because in spite of giving generously, he's still sufficient by himself. He's always greater than whatever he gives. God should take all precedence. He needs to be our first love. Blessings are here today, tomorrow gone. God might deliberately take away the blessings to alert us that our hearts are inclined or to value earthly wealth and security. Perhaps because of this, that brook of Kerith, is that what it is called? Elijah, it gets dried. Every day, Raven would bring bread and meat. Why Raven? A dove would do a better job. But then God does things sometimes with an irony, and also to indicate that he can do anything. During famine, he uses ravens to feed his servant with bread and meat every morning and every evening. But But the brook dries up. Now the attention from the brook and the ravens is legitimately turned toward God. Friends, it is God who takes care of us. What does it matter if he feeds us through ravens or through a widow? It's his job to take care of us. Let him have his way. Where is our love? Where is our trust? Command those who are rich in the present age not to be haughty. We can't be proud of anything that we possess because all that we have is from the Lord. There's nothing that we can claim to be ours. Is anything ours? You say no? What about the car that you've parked outside? Isn't that yours? What about your house? If somebody comes to your house and says, whose house is this? What do you say? It's mine, right? And there is some sense in it. But ultimately, who is the master and owner of everything? It's God. So how can I be haughty of that which is entrusted to me? Command those who are rich in the present age not to be haughty or to set their hope on the uncertainty of riches. Riches are uncertain. They have wings. They don't remain in one particular place for long. We can't put our hope in the uncertain riches, but on God who richly supplies us with all things to enjoy. God is not against our enjoyment. God is not stingy. God richly supplies. How many things? He supplies us with all things. I mean, he's so generous. He hasn't put just one star up there. He hasn't just put one kind of flower out there. Think about the variety. And when you go to see jungles, you still find fragrance coming out of huge woods. The flowers, do you think they're wasted? No. They all demonstrate God's generosity. He's so rich, he gives us all things to enjoy. Let's love God, the giver of all blessings. That's how we shift our focus from wealth and the given blessings to the giver of all blessings. I went to meet a Norwegian in a place near Rajahmundry who was distributing, when I went to see him, he was in a meeting in an orphanage. He was distributing towels to the small kids, orphans. I paid attention to the way each child would receive the towel. Some kids from a distance looked at the donor intently. They were anxious to look into his eyes and shake hands with him. Towel was immaterial for them. They would get it anyway. That was not their focus. But some others, they didn't even look at him. They were pushing one another and they were looking down. And when it came for them to take the towel, receive the towel, they didn't even look at the person who was giving the towel to him. They just grabbed it and ran away. Sometimes my friend, he stopped the kids, wanted to shake hands with them and find out their names. Some even then wouldn't look up to him to have anything to do with him. Are we not like that sometimes? We are more interested in the job than God who takes care of us through the job. If you're honest, a lot of times we don't even shake hands with him, if you like it. We don't even look at him and say, thank you, Lord. You love me so much. Where is our love? Where is our trust? Build treasures in heaven. How? By giving. Friends, the money that we have is so that we can live our lives here and prepare for eternity. Shifra made us a beautiful, delicious banana cake. Is that what it's called? Banana? Walnut cake. If we eat much of it today, only small portion is left for tomorrow. Okay? In the same way, all that God has entrusted us with, if we use it for ourselves on this earth, we're going to have very little there. That which is given to us is that which is given to us. That much only. How do we handle it? What do we do with that which is given to us? Are we using it up for ourselves selfishly and on luxury and extravagance, on things that don't count in eternity? Not everything you buy counts in eternity. I want you to think seriously about this statement. Isn't that a great opportunity to send ahead of us to a place where we are going to be forever and ever? Imagine you're relocating yourself to another country for good. What will you do about your house, your property, your furniture, all that you have here? You are moving for good. What would you do? Distribute to others? No way. You turn your property into cash, right? But the customs are keen that shouldn't take more than, it used to be $10,000. I don't know how much it's now. You have more than 10,000. And what do you do with that? In the airport, you distribute to others? No. You transfer it so that the money would wait for you. Friends, heaven is our eternal home. Someone said, the crowns we wear in heaven must be worn on earth. You can't win crowns in heaven. It should be won right here while we live. What a great opportunity to transform earthly wealth into eternal, unperishable wealth. We need to build treasures in heaven. We need to have the eternal perspective. Anybody heard of Jonathan Edwards? Okay. He is called the foremost theologian of the United States of America. The foremost theologian. And you know what Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones talked about him? He said, if Martin Luther and John Calvin are Himalayas, Jonathan Edwards was the Everest. He only lived for 55 years. But you know what makes his life so unique? There are a lot of things to talk about him, but one thing he always prayed for is this. He said, Lord, imprint eternity on my eyeballs. Imprint eternity on my eyeballs. So if eternity is imprinted on our eyeballs, whatever we look at, we will have eternal perspective. Our investment, our spending will have eternal angle to it. May God imprint eternity on our eyeballs. I expected an amen. I was preparing my sermon. I was reading a commentary. I read a story in the commentary, and that made me emotionally uncontrollable. I shed a lot of tears. My eyes were swollen. My wife and children were coming out and going out of the room. I didn't want them to see, so I went into the washroom, bolted myself up, and then cried a lot. You know what made me feel so emotional? The story goes like this. John Wanamaker, the founder of Philadelphia department store, goes to China to see the missionary work there. He goes from village to village. And in one particular place, on his way to another village, out there on the fields, he finds a very unusual thing. An elderly man plows the field. He leads the plow. But you know who pulls the plow? On one side, there is an ox, and on the other side, there is a little boy. And the Americans are very upset about child labor. And this is not even child labor. This is cruelty, right? It's not easy, even for the ox to pull the plow. It's very hard. So John Wanamaker stops and he's shocked, and he asks the guide as to why such a thing could happen. The guide explains. He says, sir, in the neighboring village, they start constructing a prayer hall, church hall. By the way, we only call the building church hall, not church, because church is us. This is the church hall. The hall to accommodate the church. Okay? There's no sanctity about the building. So they were building a church hall. Due to lack of funds, the construction comes to a halt. And the little boy tells his dad, Dad, we have 2 oxen. The church construction has come to a halt, Dad. Why don't you sell off one of the oxen and give the proceeds to the church building construction? I will plow the field, Dad. I will plow. I don't know how the father was convinced. They sell one of the oxen, give the proceeds to the church construction. And now the boy keeps his word. He plows the field. I didn't have the guts to even imagine meeting this little Chinese boy. How would I approach him? How would I show my face to him? I have a lot, I don't give. He doesn't have, he sells and gives. I've been a preacher, but I wouldn't do what he did. I know more scripture than he does, but I'm not as sacrificial as he is. At that time, my son was doing his intermediate in Vijayawada. I just imagine, as a pastor's son, would he do that? Imagine I give him a motorbike which costs 1 lakh rupees. He goes to a church and finds a need there. He sells his motorbike and gives the proceeds, say 70, 80,000 to the church. Would I be happy about it? Would I say, son, I appreciate you. You've done a good thing? No way. So I imagine myself and my son in different perspectives and cried bitterly and said, Lord, I'm not going to give you generously. I'm going to give you sacrificially. Friends, have you ever sold off something in order to give to God? Anybody here? Whose money is it anyway? Why do we cling on to property and say, this is mine? Where is victory over love of money? By giving. If I have love of money, I will hold on to my property, okay, in a tight fist. But if I'm willing to give something to the Lord and to the poor, what do I intentionally do about my grip? I loosen it a little bit because I am the one who is willing to take something out and give away. So I'm loosening my grip. I'm speaking out of experience, friends. Give. Give not just generously, but give sacrificially. After having heard about the Chinese little boy, let me ask you this question. Would you be willing, if necessary, to sell off something important and give to God? Anybody here who's willing? We need to give and build treasures in heaven. Earn properly. It's not just giving. It's earning also that is important. Some people earn to live. Others live to earn. Which way should it be? Should we eat in order to live or live in order to eat? Yes, we need to eat in order to live healthy life. In the same way, we need to legitimately earn, because as a responsible Christian, we need to take care of our family. Okay? I want to draw your attention to Deuteronomy 23, 17, and 18. None of the daughters of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, nor shall any of the sons of Israel be a cult prostitute. You should not bring the hire of a harlot or the wages of a dog into the house of Yahweh your God for any votive offering, for both of these are an abomination to Yahweh your God. I'm reading from the latest translation called Legacy Standard Bible. They've retained Yahweh. They've retained a lot of original words. Now, we are supposed to bring to the house of God two things, according to this verse. What are they? You shall not bring the hire of a harlot, the income of a harlot or a prostitute, or the wages of a dog. Why not? Why are wages of a dog an abomination to the Lord, just as the wages of a harlot? Come on. What do you understand by this? Wages of a dog. Are you sleeping? Are you all asleep? With the talent of being able to sleep with your eyes open? Now, I want you to respond. Have you read this passage before? Do you know what wages are? Do you know what a dog is? Then what do you understand with the wages of a dog? How would you say that? I mean, you need to do justice to the words that are used there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Context is king. Think with me. In verse 17, no daughter of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, okay? No son of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, okay? No daughter or no son should become a temple prostitute. There used to be male prostitutes those days in the temples. And now next verse says, do not bring the wages of a harlot or the wages of a dog. In that context, and in many other contexts, dogs stand for male prostitutes. Even in Revelation 22:15, dogs will not enter the kingdom, the city of God. So when you can't understand the meaning of a particular word or phrase, read the surrounding verses. You'll get a clue there. Context is king for interpretation. So God is not just interested in your giving. He is interested in your earning too. You can't rob Peter to pay Paul. You can't somehow earn money in order to build a temple, build a prayer hall, or help the poor. It is not enough to do good. It is important to do good in the right way, doing the right thing in the right way. We don't follow the Machiavellian theory where it says the end justifies the means. No, it doesn't. For the end to be justified, the means also should be justifiable. How are we earning? I went to stay with a relative of mine, and the woman of the house works in a government hospital as a nurse. They gave me a pillow, and you know what the pillow is made of? Bandages, full of bandages and cotton bundles. A pillow that one could get for 200-300 rupees. I don't know how they are able to sleep on a pillow of stolen goods. I hate it. I hated it. And people think that stolen goods are sweeter. Cash underneath the table looks more lucrative. But in God's sight, they're an abomination. God hates it. We need to confine our earning to godly ways. Now let's see how we have to spend our money. Not just giving, not just earning, but all other investments or spending. Like a good steward, be faithful, acknowledge God as the sole owner. We're accountable. We are going to give an account to every rupee that God puts in our hands. You can't say, my salary, I can do whatever. No. How we spend matters. Finally, to practically triumph over love of money, we need to learn to be content. 1 Timothy 6:6, contentment, godliness with contentment is great gain. Great gain. Contentment is great gain. How can one learn to be content? At least now, please respond. It's not rocket science. How can we learn to be content with what we have?
Everything is not from ourselves.
Okay. It's not ours, it's ultimately God's. Anything and everything is a gift. Okay.
Trust in God.
Trust in God. Very biblical. I'm going to talk about it later. Anything else?
Thanking God.
Thanking God. Wow. I'm glad you're thinking ahead of me, or at least ahead of my PowerPoint. That's what should happen. And I can quickly show you all that I have to tell you, but if the processing doesn't happen in your brains, you don't fully get it, you don't retain it. How else can one learn to be content?
Discerning what is the need versus want.
Okay, discerning what is, differentiating between wants and needs. Okay. Contentment is not out there. Accumulation doesn't give contentment. Even if God gives you all that you pray for, you will still not be content. Let me try to illustrate. Even if you marry Miss World, you can't be content. Even if you buy the best car on earth today, you won't be content because better than the best arrives tomorrow. The biggest TV, curved TV you buy today, you'll be discontent in a few days because a different model arrives. You heard of planned obsolescence? Planned obsolescence is a business term, and it's a reality. If you say something is obsolete, what does that mean?
No more use.
It's no more in use, outdated. Okay? Obsolescence is planned. For example, you buy a digital camera. Initially, it used to be 2-megapixel camera. You know why? Even at that time, when they made 2-megapixel camera, they had the technology ready to make a 64 megapixel camera, but they don't make it all of a sudden, all at once. You know why? They want you to continuously you to continuously keep buying things. That's why they produce 2-megapixel and then they bring out 4-megapixel, and you become discontent with this and you want higher range. And then suddenly they bring 12-megapixel. They keep on improving. And this is planned obsolescence. The other things have to become obsolete to make you buy the fresh produce, the products. So even if you buy the best in the market, you will not be content. Then how can we gain contentment? How can we learn to be content? by having a sense of unworthiness about the blessings that we already do have. Genesis 32:10, Jacob prays, Lord, I'm unworthy. Genesis 32:10. I wish I had written that on the slide itself. Can somebody read Genesis 32:10?
I'm not worthy of the least of all the mercies
Hmm.
and of all the truth which
Hmm.
thou hast shewed unto thy servant.
Hmm.
With my staff I passed over the Jordan,
Hmm.
and now I am become too bad.
One single staff he used to have while crossing Jordan, but now he is two big companies. And he says, I'm unworthy. See, when you realize your unmeritedness and unworthiness, you don't desire for more. You're struck with a sense of wonder and amazement. Your heart is overflowing with thanksgiving. You can't contain it. And can you desire for more? We desire for more because we think we deserve more. We don't. Do we deserve the life that we enjoy? Do we deserve the family that we enjoy? Do we deserve salvation that we received? All blessings are graciously given, mercifully given. We are unworthy. By the way, do you know the difference between grace and mercy? Grace is God giving us what we don't deserve. Mercy is God not giving us what we do deserve. God gives us, even though we don't deserve, all blessings. That's grace. And God withholds his anger, his judgment, his wrath, which we do deserve. That is grace and mercy. We don't deserve, friends. How can we expect more? The pagans worry. Matthew 6:32. The Father knows all that we need, even before we ask him. The Gentile world doesn't have a caring, eternal Father for them in heaven. It befits them. It is becoming to the heathen to worry. It's unbecoming of believers to worry. There is a Father who cares for us, who neither slumbers nor sleeps. God loves us more than we love ourselves. God cares for us more than we care for ourselves. He knows more about us. Then why do we worry? So instead of worrying, what should we do? Trust in God. Trust in fatherly love of God. Trust in his providence. Friends, it's not we who have taken care of ourselves. The fact that we still breathe is not because of our exercises. It's not because of the care that we take in terms of our intake of food. It's not our careful driving. It is because God in his mercy and grace has kept us alive. So the God who has taken care of us so far, will he all of a sudden change his mind and stop caring for us? Thus far, he has been faithful. Is that not evidence enough for his utter faithfulness for us to continue to trust in him, or trust in him more and more? But we trust less and less. Any danger comes, we start panicking. Charles Spurgeon said, The sovereignty of God is the pillow on which a restless soul can rest. God is still on the throne. Nothing happens in the life of a believer without the knowledge and will of God. So whatever happens is for his greater glory and our greater blessing. So let him do whatever. Let him do whatever. Certain words don't apply to God. God doesn't try things. God doesn't guess things. God doesn't make mistakes. Nothing can shock him. His foreknowledge is the script of his plans. That's his foreknowledge. He has the script all set. And by the way, you know how somebody defined prophecy? Prophecy is history written in advance. You write history after it is over. But God can write the future as you can write history. He knows the end from the beginning. We are in his care. The God who could give away his son to die for us on the cross, despicable, lonely, horrible, naked cross, wouldn't he also give to us all that we need? Romans 8, 31, 32. First Samuel 2:7. Hannah prays, God, you make the poor and the rich. Friends, if God so desires for our own good and for his own glory to keep us for some time in poverty, in need, let God have his sovereign will. He's the potter and we are the clay. He has the right to do whatever in terms of his creation. We belong to him. We can't question him. We can't grumble because he knows best. Before I show you the fourth principle, let's turn to Proverbs 16:8. Better is a little with righteousness than great produce with injustice. Let me read it again. Better is a little with righteousness than great produce with injustice. Have you ever seen a leg infected with filaria, in elephantiasis? Is that a synonym? Okay. Have you ever seen it? How does it look like? Small or big? Big. Which is better? But it is big. Friends, I've drawn 3 conclusions out of this. I use a whiteboard and draw kind of big leg and a small leg and ask people which is better, and they say the smaller one is better, and I compare. The big one is heavy. The small one is easy, light in weight. Ill-gotten money is heavy. It's hard to maintain. You have to give bribe to a lot of people. But legitimate income, even if income tax raids take place, you don't have to worry. You don't have to grease anybody's palms. It's easy to maintain. Secondly, it's ugly. I hope you're able to imagine a leg with a disease. is ugly. Those small and slender, the healthy leg is good to see. I saw an architectural triumph, you can say, a building with elevation so impressive, and I simply said, wow. And the person sitting next to me, we were passing by a house in Narsapur. He said, you know how he became rich? And he talked about all the ill practices that he was known for. And all the appreciation for the house disappeared, evaporated. Thirdly, this big leg is a disease. It's a disease. Healthy leg, those slender, is healthy. Let me tell you this. Somebody told me this. In Hyderabad, most government staff, government workers, they take bribes. And they don't have to give account at home to the bribe money, because nobody is sure as to how much you get. You get. They only are accountable to the salary amount. Okay? You know what they do with the ill-gotten money? They drink, they prostitute, they do all kinds of sinful things. You will know the value of your money only if it's hard earned. Easy money, you don't know the value. So you get involved in different vices, different wicked practices. It's unhealthy. So if you find people infected with financial filaria, would you seek it too? Would you want that for yourself? Some are swollen. If your child looks at a leg infected with elephantiasis and tells you, Mom, Dad, look at that big leg. I have only a small, slender leg. I wish I had a big one like that. What would you say? You will rebuke the child and say, hey, never, ever desire such a thing. It's ugly. It is a disease. So when we go to God and pray, Lord, I've been faithful for so long. I only have a second-hand motorcycle. Look at him, look at her. And what God says? Better is a little with righteousness than great gains with injustice. Finally, having practiced all biblical principles, we still fail. The last resort is praying Augur's prayer. Proverbs 38 and 9, Augur prays. 7 also, 2 things I asked of you, do not withhold from me before I die. Keep worthlessness and every false word far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is my portion, lest I be full and deny you and say, who is Yahweh? Or lest I be impoverished and steal and profane the name of my God. Honestly, tell me if any of you have prayed this prayer. Anybody? God bless you. That should be our prayer. A change begins from within. If your attitude toward money doesn't change, your practice with money will not change. May God help us to genuinely pray this prayer. Let's neither seek riches nor poverty. Thank you, and God bless you.